All right, folks, so a common question I get in some of my videos is, if I already own a watch, do I really need a bike computer? Well, a watch can do pretty much everything a bike computer can do, including all the basic stuff like tracking speed, distance, as well as elevation. And then with higher end watches that have maps, you actually have plenty of navigation capabilities as well. But the nice thing about a watch is that since you're wearing it 24 hours a day, it can track a whole bunch of other stuff like your daily health metrics, including sleep. But when you're riding a bike, a watch isn't necessarily the most ideal when it comes to usability, because when your hands are on the handlebars, and this is whether you're on a mountain bike or a road bike, your wrist can be in an orientation where it can be hard to see your data at a quick glance. And that's where a bike computer comes into play, where their data is right in front of you. But with a bike computer, well, that's an additional device to purchase as well as manage. And if your watch can already do all that stuff for you, why not just use your watch as a bike computer? And that's what this video is all about, is how to use your Garmin Epix, Garmin Fenix 6 or 7, Enduro, or even Core's Vertix or Vertix 2 as a bike computer, so you can see your data right in front of you as you're riding. Now, don't get me wrong, there are certainly advantages to using a dedicated bike computer, and that's namely going to be the screen size, where with stuff like navigation, you'll just be able to see a lot more detail, especially with stuff like maps. But this video is more for those of you who don't necessarily want to invest in a bike computer at this point and would rather just use your watch. But if you are considering really getting into cycling, I still would consider getting a bike computer, and I've got some links down in the description below of some bike computers that I can recommend. Okay, so getting back to how to actually mount your watch on your handlebars. So there's a few different solutions I'll be covering here, but if you own a Garmin Fenix 6 or 7, and that can be any size of those, by the way, the Garmin Enduro, Garmin Epix, Garmin Quatix 6, or Tactix Delta, or even a Core's Vertix or Vertix 2, well, Garmin makes these slick little accessories that will work perfectly with any of those, including the Core's watches, by the way. They take advantage of the quick fit band system, and mounting them is quite literally a snap. And then if you have any other type of watch than the ones I'm mentioning in this video, I do also have some solutions for mounting those on your handlebars as well. It isn't quite as elegant as these accessories, but they certainly do the trick. Okay, so first off, just to get something sort of obvious out of the way, but if you're going to be having your watch mounted on your handlebars, you're not going to be able to be collecting heart rate from the wrist-based optical heart rate sensor. So if you do want to collect heart rate data, you'll need to pair it up with an external heart rate strap. And I've got another video where I went over a whole bunch of budget heart rate straps that I'll have linked down in the description below. But if you don't really care about collecting heart rate data and just want to collect speed, distance, and elevation, you can just completely skip this step. Okay, so for those of you with a Garmin Fenix 6 or 7 in any size, a Garmin Enduro, Epix, Tactix Delta, or Quatix 6, well, Garmin has this pretty neat little accessory that you can purchase that takes advantage of the fact that your watch uses the quick fit band system, where you can just quickly remove the bands with this little clasp on the back here, and then the watch pin or bars on the watch just kind of remain on the case. And then what this accessory does is that it's basically just a clip that hooks onto the existing bars or pins on your watch. And then on the underside of this clip is a Garmin quarter turn interface that works with their existing quarter turn mounts, which they use on their bike computers like the Garmin Edge 830 that I have right here. So basically it looks almost exactly the same. And then the interesting thing about this kit is that it actually comes with 3 different size mounts all in one kit. So one for the smallest Fenix 6S or 7S, which have a 20mm quick fit system. So here's the Fenix 7S right here. This just pops into place just like that. And then there's also a mount for the 22mm version. So this is the Garmin Fenix 6 Sapphire right here. This just pops into place just like so. And then here is the Garmin Epix right here. Same deal here. And then they have the largest 26mm version, which works with the Fenix 7X that I have right here. And then also the Garmin Enduro. And then this would also work with the Tactix Delta. And then what happens from here is that once you have your watch mounted, well, they include a Garmin quarter turn mount for your handlebars included here. So all this does is that it just basically just locks into place just like so. And then here's what it looks like on a couple different bikes of mine. But here's something interesting I found out. So since the Core's Vertix and Vertix 2, well, they have the same quick fit type system that is heavily inspired by Garmin's quick fit system, well, they actually fit perfectly inside the 22mm mount right here. So this is the original Vertix. So you'll see that it just clips right into place. Fits really nice. It does have a little bit more space right there from the heart rate sensor to the edge right there, but I don't think that's really that big of a concern. But anyhow, this system makes it super quick and convenient to quickly turn your watch into a bike computer, and it just literally just works just like that. I mean, that was like 10 seconds. Oh, and really quick before we get into the other solutions, if you're finding the information in this video useful, do me a favor and just hit that like button down below. It's a small little thing that you can do that'll help this video and the channel quite a bit, and I appreciate it. And what's great here too is that there are a bunch of different kinds of quarter turn mounts that you can buy for your bike, including the standard ones with the rubber bands, as well as out front mounts, mountain bike mounts, mounts for aero bars, and plenty of third-party mounts. And then one of my favorites for mountain biking is the stem mount from K-Edge, which is nice and svelte and creates a really clean look on my stem and bars. Okay, so you may have noticed that I have a whole bunch of other watches here, and the reason for that is because I was extremely curious of whether those watches would actually work with these clips, and those watches aren't listed on Garmin's website as being compatible, and there's the reason they aren't listed. Okay, so let's start out with the Forerunner 945, which uses 22mm watch straps. So unfortunately, the distance from lug to lug is a little bit too short for the 22mm clip, and then it also doesn't work with the 20 or 26mm clip. And then with the Forerunner 945 LTE, which also uses 22mm straps, well, this is a no-go because this is actually a smaller form factor, and this doesn't even come close to fitting on the 22mm clip. And then with the 20mm clip, you could probably squeeze it into place, but it's a super tight fit. Definitely not recommended. And then how about the Instinct 2 Solar and the Instinct 2S? Well, the lug-to-lug distance is not even close to the same as the other watches. So with the 22mm clip, you'll see it doesn't even come close. And then with the 20mm clip, with the Instinct 2, the larger one, the 45mm one, well, it does fit in the 20mm clip, but there's a lot of movement from side to side, so I wouldn't necessarily trust this for being secure. And then the Instinct 2S, well, it doesn't fit any of these. It's just too small. The only watch that I found that was kind of a close fit was the new Garmin Descent G1, where that sort of fits inside the 22mm clip, but again, there's a little bit of movement right there. So again, probably not recommended as a very secure solution. But really quick side note, so with watches that don't come with Garmin's Quick Fit band system out of the box, well, some of these watches, you can actually remove the watch pins or bars from the bands and then reinsert them in here. And then you can actually retrofit the Quick Fit bands to work. So with this Instinct 2S Solar that I have right here, well, what I've done is I've just reinserted the bars back into the case, and then I can just pop the Quick Fit bands on just like that. And there you go. Okay, so now let's get to all the watches that aren't compatible with Garmin's Quick Fit quarter turn bike mount accessory, and this will work with any watch out there. So basically I've got a couple different solutions for you so you can mount your watch on your handlebars without your watch kind of just flopping around. So the first is an accessory that wraps around your bars, which basically creates some extra space so you don't have a bunch of extra watch strap flopping around. Plus it makes sure that your watch doesn't rotate on your bars when you're riding. It's a simple little accessory, and you can get an official Garmin one, or there's also some other brands which I'll have linked down in the description below. The other solution is actually using Garmin's simple little quarter turn mount for their handlebars, which is a little bit less obtrusive, and let me kind of show you how this works. So if you notice, the heart rate sensors on all these watches protrude just a little bit, which funny enough can just kind of nestle nicely inside of one of these quarter turn mounts. So what you can do is just strap your watch down to the quarter turn mount. The only requirement with this though is that your watch strap needs to have plenty of holes where it can strap down to the diameter of your handlebar, which is likely smaller than most wrists. You will have a little bit of extra strap hanging around with this solution, but hey, it sort of works. But one more thing I do want to point out with this solution is that I usually place a small piece of cloth in between the watch and the mount just to prevent any accidental scratches or anything like that, and just to protect the back of my watch. So that's it. That's how to use your Garmin Fenix 6, 7, Enduro, Epix, Tactics Delta, or even of course Vertix or Vertix 2, or any other type of watch for that matter, mounted on your bars as a bike computer. And if you have any solutions that I didn't mention, definitely leave a comment down in the comments section down below. And if the information did help you out at all, don't be shy about hitting that like button. Thanks so much for watching, happy riding, and we will see you in the next video.